Hello, fellow travellers. Mustn't touch my face. Remember that. Well, my appeal for help regarding travel. I've had some replies from a couple of friends in the States, and Noya's chipped in, and so far the consensus is that I shouldn't come back. I should stay where I am. I can see the sense in that. For a start, I may have explained and touched on some of this in the original video, but for a start, as far as this coronavirus thing is concerned, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better, and you're not going to be safe anywhere. But most of us, or most of you, are going to be relatively okay because you're young. But I've got to be careful because I'm of the age where I'm right in that danger area for this virus. You know, it tends to knock us old guys off, and you're not really safe wherever you're physically located, I'm sure, but where I am here, I'm relatively confined because right now I'm only going out once a day, and that's to the food shop, and I get my temperature tested every time I go in it, so I know if I'm sickening for something. I can obviously feel it as well. I don't come into physical contact with anyone at all. There's noise not here even. And if I decide to go into Patong Beach, well, there's hardly anyone there because most of the tourists have gone away or just don't turn up anymore. And I don't frequent the bars anymore. So I'm relatively isolated. However, if I go back to the States right now, I'm going to have to transit through Singapore and Hong Kong before I even get back to the States. And whilst I'm not in contact with anyone at all here, 24 hours or so sat in an aeroplane next to God knows who that may have got on in Hong Kong doesn't really fill me with much pleasure. I can assure you of that. And also the rigmarole and palaver that I may have to go through with tests and whatever going through those airports. And God knows what USA immigration will make of me, having come from Asia in general and Hong Kong, China in particular. I may even get quarantined on arrival and end up in some kind of concentration camp somewhere being yelled at. You know, can't face that. And also on my return journey, I've got no real guarantee of getting through Hong Kong and Singapore and back into Thailand on the way back, because who knows what the situation is going to be like in, you know, a month and a half's time. It could have got really bad by then. I could end up being stranded. The more one thinks about it, the worse it gets. Plus the fact there's another thing on my mind as well. Let's say I make it back to Tombstone. Let's just say that I make it back that far and I come into town, keep myself to myself as much as possible, but people are going to know I'm there. What happens if someone gets sick in town? Because the chances are it's going to arrive sooner or later. There are already, was it 3 cases in southern Arizona? It's going to come to town sooner or later. Who are they going to blame? Even if it's not my fault, it will be my fault. And I don't want to go down in history as the guy that, you know, brought the plague to Tombstone. Lucky if I don't get lynched. So that's another thing that's playing on my mind. I still haven't 100% made up my mind, but right now the consensus of opinion is that I don't travel and I wait it out here. So anyway, that's just an update. See ya.